The Eala Effect has hit Toronto.
Of course, Filipino! Come on, let's go, Alex.
Ready to cheer on rising Filipino tennis star Alex Eala at the National Bank Open, the country's biggest tennis tournament.
Of course, the story of the day is watching Alex Eala play. I'm Filipino, and we cherish her a lot.
And I just was looking at the report, and literally every day there's only like 100 or 200 tickets, so it's like 99% sold out. It'll probably sell out by the end of the weekend, so...
Alex Eala's Canadian Open run is over. She fell to Belinda Bencic 6-4, 6-0 in the round of 16 on Monday. Her 7-match winning streak snapped after fatigue, and a lingering ankle knock finally caught up with her. But while the scoreline says the run ended, the bigger story out of Toronto has almost nothing to do with wins and losses. It has to do with money, tickets, and the kind of attention tournament directors dream about but almost never get. Canadian Open tournament director Carl Hale summed it up best when he talked about the logistics headache Eala caused before she'd even played a match. Eala was originally slotted into the grandstand court, which seats 2,800. Hale had to move her because by his own account she'd sold upwards of 5,000 tickets for a court that couldn't hold half that many. Her Wednesday night session at Sobeys Stadium sold out completely, and according to Tennis 365, Serena Williams is the only other player believed to have sold out a Wednesday night session in Toronto in the past 20 years. That's the company Eala is now keeping, and she's doing it in her tournament debut. Hale didn't stop there. He revealed that the tournament actually changed its food offerings mid-event just to keep up with the crowds Eala was pulling in, something he said he'd never seen a tournament do for a single player before. He called the Filipino turnout at the event a genuine blessing for the sport, and described fans calling in for months beforehand just to find out when and where she'd be playing. The moment her start time was confirmed, he said the phones lit up, and the session sold out almost instantly. This isn't an isolated case either. Rewind to March, when Miami Open tournament director James Blake was asked how he planned to handle Eala's growing following heading into that event. Blake openly admitted he'd learned his lesson the year before with fellow young star Joao Fonseca, who'd been underscheduled onto smaller courts despite drawing huge crowds. Blake made it clear he wasn't going to repeat that mistake with Eala, saying the international interest around her was so high that center court had basically become a requirement, not an option. That's a tournament director months in advance, planning his entire scheduling strategy around one player's drawing power.
He will be, yes. And Eala, it's been quite a thrill ride for her this last year as well. I feel like last year at this event, it was a little bit of a coming out party where she had some great results coming from a wildcard position as well. So I think the international interest in both of them is so high.
And this pattern traces directly back to Washington, just days before Toronto. Eala won her first ever WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open, coming back from a set down to beat top seed Jessica Pegula in a rain-delayed, overnight suspended final that had to finish on a Monday. DC Open tournament director Mark Ine said afterward that Monday finals are rare enough on their own, but the crowd that showed up anyway, packed with Philippine flags and chants, may have been the best Monday final crowd anyone on tour had ever witnessed. That's not a stray compliment. That's a tournament director on the record saying a player fundamentally altered the atmosphere of his event. Pegula, for her part, had every reason to be short and clipped in her runner-up speech after that kind of collapse. Instead, she used the moment to thank the Filipino fans directly, telling them they were helping grow tennis around the world, and that she appreciated what that meant for the sport, even if losing in front of them wasn't fun. It's rare for a player who just blew a lead in a title match to spend her speech praising her opponent's fan base. But that's the level of respect Eala's support has earned across the tour. Then there's Venus Williams, who partnered with Eala in doubles at both Bad Homburg and now Toronto. After their first-round doubles exit in Canada, Venus didn't talk about the loss. She talked about Eala herself, calling her a world star, and praising her far beyond tennis, pointing to her maturity and how well-spoken she is off the court. Coming from a 7-time Grand Slam singles champion who has seen just about everything the sport has to offer, that's not a throwaway line. Before we get further into what the locker room thinks of Eala's rise, it's worth pausing on just how many of you are watching these stories unfold in real time. If you've been following Eala's season, you already know this isn't a one-off moment. It's been building since her breakthrough run last year, through the grass season, through Miami, all the way to Washington and now Toronto. If this channel has been your source for keeping up with every step of that journey, dropping a like actually helps push these videos to more fans who are just discovering her right now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. because this story is nowhere near finished. Let us know in the comments where you were watching from when she played that DC Open final. Coco Gauff has probably had the closest look at the Eala Effect of anyone on tour, having played her multiple times this year alone. After beating fellow American Kayla Day in her Toronto opener, Gauff was asked directly about the demographic Eala has brought into tennis, and she didn't hesitate. She said the audience Eala is bringing to the sport is something the entire tour should be embracing because everyone benefits from it. Gauff has experienced this from the losing end too, recalling their Dubai quarterfinal, where the crowd was almost entirely behind Eala despite Gauff winning comfortably. Rather than resent it, Gauff said watching a community that doesn't always see itself represented in tennis finally show up like that was genuinely inspiring to play in front of. And she even said she picked up new fans from that crowd herself. Naomi Osaka, who played Eala for the first time at the Washington Open semi-final and lost in straight sets, echoed almost the exact same sentiment after her own Toronto win. She said Eala's fans are likely watching enough tennis now to start following other players too, calling it amazing for the sport, and specifically noting how many tickets Eala's presence moves. When a four-time Grand Slam champion is publicly crediting a 21-year-old for ticket sales, that tells you everything about how far this has traveled beyond just being a nice story out of Manila. So where does that leave things after the Bencic loss? Eala walks away from Toronto without a trophy, but with her price tag in the sport higher than it's ever been. Tournament directors are rearranging courts for her. Legends are calling her a world star. Rivals are thanking her fans in their runner-up speeches. That's not the kind of impact that ends because of one bad set. If anything, the last 2 weeks have made it clearer than ever that whatever venue Eala shows up to next, the crowd, the schedule, and the attention are going to bend around her. The question now isn't whether she'll bounce back. It's which tournament gets to cash in on her next. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think tournaments are starting to treat Eala differently because of what she brings in ticket sales and attention? Or is this just players and directors giving credit where it's genuinely due? Does it surprise you that a 21-year-old with just one WTA title is already forcing center court reshuffles at back-to-back events? And after seeing Venus, Gauff, Osaka, and Pegula all speak this highly about her impact, do you think the WTA itself has caught up to how big this is? Or is the tour still underselling her? Drop your take in the comments. I want to see where everyone stands on this.